Maqasidic Tafsir.
Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end? Pursuing the higher aim, learning the meaning of every page. Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end?
Assalamu alaikum. Sunnahfollowers presents a new class, the Maqasidic of Tafsir, being taught and brought to you by Ustadah Laila Nasheeba. Please stay tuned, streaming on all major platforms, right here on channel Sunnahfollowers.
Alhamdulillah, wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. I want to welcome everybody to our series, our new series that I just begun teaching last week. This is our series entitled the Maqasidic Tafsir. The Maqasidic Tafsir. And this as well is based on a series of, sorry, Sister Anissa. That's Sister Anissa giving salams to everybody. I don't know how that popped up on my screen. Okay. But this is a series written by Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. And I really love this series because it breaks down the meaning of the Quran as understood by the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, a lot of times when you guys ask me questions about Islam, you guys will come to me and, well, one of the reasons why you guys say that you like my Islam Q&A show is because I don't answer questions the way a lot of these other brothers do. When you guys come to me with a question about anything, I give you the answer based on what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and I also give you the understanding that the companions had of it. That's why I'm always using examples of history. Like I'll tell you what happened for Allah to send down the verse of the Quran, and you know what was the reaction of the companions. That's Maqasidic. That's Maqasidic. You know, Islam is only based on two sources, guys, the Quran and the authentic hadiths. And Allah tells us in the Quran that the best understanding of this religion and the strongest in faith were those original companions. No one will ever out-trump them in their knowledge, their understanding of this religion. So that's the way everybody is supposed to answer. If you truly are a person that knows your deen, you shouldn't be given the four imams answers. You should be given, you know, the answer from the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to break it down further, you know, give them the understanding that the companions had of what the Prophet said. Remember, the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was their teacher. Okay? So they understood better than anyone else the meaning of what Allah was saying to them. And so today, I posted up last night what pages that I wanted you guys to review. And I believe it's pages 16 through 19. Because like any of the books that Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid has written and put together. And by the way, he just got another book out that I've been waiting for. Inshallah, I'll be teaching that too. But he's putting everything out that I'll need for my curriculum. But anyway, you can't just buy these books and then read them on your own and think you're going to now understand the religion. No, you will never understand this deen unless you learn from the people of knowledge. You have to learn directly from the people of knowledge. Okay, you can't teach yourself. You cannot teach yourself. The prophet didn't teach himself. The companions didn't teach themselves. And may Allah bless them all. Okay, so buy the book. This book, the Maqasidic Tafsir, like all the other books of Sheikh Kareem Abu-Zayd, it's only $19.99. That's all it costs. Go to Amazon.com and buy the book. And again, guys, it's well worth it. It's worth more than that $19.99, to be honest. Anytime a person's giving you the gift of knowledge and the correct understanding of Allah and his religion, that's something that you can't put a price tag on. And so today what we're going to do, I want everybody to take their books out, those of you who have the books. And by the way, my PowerPoints, some of the words, the wording that's used is the United Kingdom English. And American English is nothing like United Kingdom English. So if you guys will look at my PowerPoints, I've taken some of those words that you may not understand the meaning of because they're not American English, and I've broken them down into American English so you can understand. So everybody get the books out, turn to page 16, and we're going to begin there because tonight's lesson is very important when it comes to understanding the Quran the correct way. Even when we look at the verses, there's a certain science that has to be used. Okay, so let's put that together. Inna alhamdulillah wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Today we're going to be covering pages 16 through 19 of the Maqasidic Tafsir. And today what I'm going to do is speak about, these pages, everybody should have the book out. And by the way, for the kids watching me, oh, I forgot my kids on Telegram. Here I come. Let me open my phone back up so I can see the kids on Telegram. Okay, for the kids on Telegram and everywhere else, put me on the big screen TV so that way you can take a good look at the PowerPoint pages and have your mom and dad, the brother, he said he's screenshotting. Don't worry, Okay. All right. And don't forget to give my salams to Sheikh Kareem. All right. Let's get started here. Before I begin tonight's discussion of the different categories of verses used by the Maqasidic Mufassir, I'm going to first review what we discussed the other day with just 2 questions. There's 2 review questions. Like I told you guys, this class is going to be taught like my 6 o'clock class. There will be quizzes. I'm going to quiz you before class, and I'm going to quiz you after class, just like I do in the 6 o'clock. And alhamdulillah, since I learned how to work 2 computers with the stream, I don't have to sit there talk, and I can put the review questions on the screen, and you got half the screen me and the other half it. Okay, so let's look at the first question for review. Who can tell me what is a mufassir? I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I meant to ask your Molly how to pronounce it. What is a mufassir? What is a mufassir? Who can give me the meaning of it? What is meant by this Arabic term, mufassir? What is meant by that? What is it? Who can tell me? And people in Zoom, y'all been dead all day. You better wake up now. Amina Fresno, what is a mufassir? Geechee, go ahead.
The person who gives the explanation.
Okay, is there a little bit more to it that you might want to add? That's true. But can you add a little bit more?
The person who gives an explanation of the Quran.
Of the what of the Quran?
the interpretation, the meaning of the
There you go. Exactly. And also they not only give explanation, but what else do they give? They give explanation of the meaning of the Quran. They also give what? Clarification. Good job for the girls listening. Good job, Amira. They also give clarification. Clarification of the meaning of the Quran. Okay, good job, Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson said we can say that it's a person who is qualified to explain, to interpret, and to clarify what the Quran means. Good job, Miss Jackson. Good job, Amira. She typed it here on Telegram. Good job. Exactly, guys. And not everybody is mufassir. As we talked about last week, not everybody is qualified to break down the meaning of that Quran. And that's why we have a lot of people. I was looking at a video this morning. One of the brothers in the UK sent me a video asking me to discuss it. But I told him I don't do that. I don't do what they do in the UK, arguing and fighting and kafir bashing. But I was amazed because this was a woman who called herself a sheikha. This is a woman who calls herself a sheikha, a scholar. She has the nerve to say she's a scholar of the religion. But she was saying that there is no verse. There is no verse in the Quran that says a woman has to cover her head. Oh my God. She's not a scholar of anything. When we have the clear verse where Allah tells every woman, he says, oh, you women who believe, draw your kimar, kimar, kimar. She don't know what the word kimar meant. That's what it is. They don't understand which word means headscarf. And we're going to talk about that today. One of the qualifications to interpret the Quran, you got to know the Fusha, the original Arabic, because the word that you use for headscarf today is not the word used in the Quran. It's kimar. Kimar refers to a head covering. And here this woman calls herself a scholar, and she's Arabic. She calls herself a Muslim Arabic scholar. But she was sitting there giving a lecture, telling people that nowhere does Allah say that women have to cover their head. She was saying that this is an outdated cultural. And she happens to be Syrian. She's a Syrian Arab. I was shocked. So, you know, a lot comes with interpreting, explaining, clarifying the Quran. Not everybody can do it. You have to study. Okay, what he said, with all due respect, the author can't break it down. Oh, Brother Jabril. Oh, you're talking about the book? Yeah. This is what I was talking about. Brother Jabril said he doesn't understand it. I understand. I'm gonna tell you why. It's because it's in he wrote it, and I did share that with Sheikh Kareem. I told Sheikh Kareem that when he edits to use American English, he's using United Kingdom English, and the United, just like Arabic. Arabic has different dialects. There's different dialects of English too. We speak grassroots American. We also have hip hop. So American English is the hardest English to understand because our English changes and it gets encoded. We make up words like revert. We make up words like polygyny. But that's the problem. That's why I was telling you guys, you can't teach yourself. You got to come here and learn it from me. But yeah, it's in he's using United Kingdom English. That's why it's kind of hard. Yeah, but Okay, the brother here said he's from the United Kingdom and he don't understand it either. May Allah bless you. He says, I'm from the United Kingdom and I don't understand that. Well, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said you can't teach yourself the deen. We have to learn from the people of knowledge, just like me. I didn't teach myself. I can teach this book because I learned this stuff. I learned all of this from Sheikh Morsi. Okay, but if I didn't learn this, I wouldn't be teaching it. Okay, so alhamdulillah, guys, not everybody is qualified to explain the Quran because there are certain things you have to know, and Arabic language is one. Otherwise, you'll be like that famous woman. She's famous. She's from Syria. And she was given a lecture speaking about how there's no verse in the Quran that says a woman has to wear a headscarf when there is. It's called kimar. But she is not familiar with the word kimar in Arabic, evidently. I don't know. So a mufassir, he is or she is familiar with the Arabic language and stuff. Okay, here's the second question. We also discussed the last time we met the meaning of tafsir. What does the word tafsir translate into American English to mean? Anyone? What is the meaning of tafsir? Geechee, wake up. Norto.
Can I answer?
Oh, yeah. I just hope y'all get on the mic. Yeah. Go ahead.
Tafsir means the explanation of the Quran.
Okay. It refers to the explanation or interpretation of the Quran. Exactly. You got both. Either one of those words are good. Either one. Yeah. Exactly. So if somebody's going to give you the tafsir of Surah Fatiha, they're going to give you the explanation or their interpretation of the meaning of Surah Al-Fatiha. And if you're going to get anybody's interpretation of any surah of the Quran, you want it to be a person who is mufassir. Someone like Dr. Jamali, he's mufassir. Someone like Dr. Asim, he's mufassir. Someone like Sheikh Saud, he's mufassir. Someone like Sheikh Morsi, he's mufassir. Alhamdulillah, all the brothers here who are over this website are all mufassir. That's what makes our website so special, alhamdulillah. I think that's why Allah has kept it on the internet since 1986, because we don't give broke down interpretations of the meaning here. So, having understood those two meanings, let's take a look at today's lecture. Turn to page 16. We have to understand that the first of the special skills that a Maqasidic Mufassir must have to interpret or to explain or to analyze a verse of the Quran is he has to know the different categories of verses, the different categories that a verse may fall into. How many of you knew that? There are 4 different categories that a verse of the Quran may fall into. And each type of verse has limits as to how to analyze it. And failure to understand the limits can cause your interpretation to be useless or even innovation. Like that woman who said that there is no verse that says a woman has to cover her head. And again, who came up with this? This is very important. Who came up with this? Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him. Not the 4 imams. They're not qualified to come up with nothing like that. Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, one of the original companions. He's the one that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam made dua for, asking Allah to not only give him a deep understanding of the meaning of the Quran, but also the Prophet prayed to Allah to bless Ibn Abbas with the ability to interpret. That's tafsir, to interpret and clarify the meaning of it. Y'all understand that? That's why I tell you guys, whenever we're confused about something in Islam, we don't look to see what the four Imams got to say. We look to see, I'll tell you what Ibn Abbas said. Y'all hear his name a lot here. I use him a lot. Him and Aisha, radiyallahu anha, two great scholars of fiqh, two great scholars of the meaning of the Quran. Or you will hear me use Ibn Abbas, another scholar of the Quran. When it comes to the hadith, you will hear me use Abu Hurairah a lot, Sa'id al-Khudri a lot. These were scholars of the hadith. Okay? I don't have no need to tell you what the four Imams said, because I already know what the companions said, and they out-trump anybody. And their understanding is what we're all supposed to use, not anyone else's. So Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, he's the one that categorized the Quranic verses into four types. And in order to understand the meaning of the Quran, you have to have knowledge of three things. You have to have knowledge of the hadith. What are the hadiths? The hadiths are the things that the Prophet Muhammad said and the things that the Prophet Muhammad did. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You also have to have the correct aqidah. That's why I'm always telling y'all at Sunnah followers, what do we specialize in? Aqidah, 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 hadith. That's our specialty here. And the third thing you have to know in order to understand the Quran, you have to know the original Arabic language, the Fusha, which most Arabs today don't speak. Very few Arabs, just like that woman from Syria, she doesn't understand Fusha. That's why she can't find the verse that mentions a woman having to cover her head. Another person goes around and says that a woman has to cover her face. That's not the meaning of that word. You have to know the Fusha, the Arabic language. Without knowledge of the hadith, without the correct belief system, and without knowledge of the Fusha, the original Arabic, the ancient Arabic that ain't even spoken today, you will never understand the Quran. Does everybody understand that? And by the way, guys, commentary is not the Quran. Commentary is not the Quran. When you guys read an English version of the Quran, that commentary is not part of the Quran. In fact, anything that you see in parentheses is not part of the Quran either. It's the person that wrote that book. That commentary is theirs. That's their opinion. Commentary, I want y'all to write that down. All new shahadas, write it down. When you're reading an English transliteration of the Quran, anything in parentheses is in parentheses because that's the author's way of letting you know that this is his word. This is not part of the original text. And any commentary is not a part of the Quran at all. Y'all understand that? It's just somebody's notes and views. Okay? So we're talking about the Quran itself, the words of Allah. As we talked about in our class yesterday, the Quran is the words of Allah. It's not a creation of Allah. Remember we discussed that? I don't want any of you believing that the Quran is a creation of Allah. It's not. It's his words conveyed to us. It's his words conveyed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam through the angel Jibril. Jibril is the angel of revelations. Allah would tell Jibril what he wanted to say, and Jibril would in turn tell it to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? So, Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, categorized the Quran verses into 4 different types. And in order to be mufassir, or a person that can give you the interpretation of the meaning of the Quran, you have to know the different types. Like Jamali does, like Sheikh Morsi does, like Sheikh Saud does, like Dr. Asim does. Okay, so let's look at those different categories. The first category of verses mentioned by Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, is that which the Arabs can understand because of their knowledge and command of the Arabic language. This is the Fusha. Most Arabs today do not speak Fusha. They speak slang. I am Egyptian. My father's family is Egyptian. They speak Egyptian slang. Dr. Jamali, his family is Palestinian. They speak Palestinian, which is slang. Okay? My sister and my nieces are Emirate. My nieces are Emirati. They speak Khaliji slang. People in Kuwait, Khaliji slang. Saudi Arabia, Khaliji slang. Just like we have different dialects, Moroccans speak Moroccan. And very few people understand Moroccan because it's mixed with Berber and everything else. Okay? Very few Arabs, even though they learn Fusha, the Arabic people learn Fusha in school just like we learn English. When you're in the 1st grade, they teach you the English language. They teach you the verbs. They teach you how to break down the verbs. But how many of us speak that way? None of us speak that way. Well, the Arabs are the same way. They speak slang. They learn Fusha when they're in school, but unless their parents emphasize it, they end up speaking whatever their Egyptian, Moroccan, Khaliji slang is. Now, there are some Arabs whose parents are religious, that do emphasize that. For example, my nieces. My nieces are all Emirati. They speak Khaliji Arabic, but they also speak Fusha. A lot of the stuff I'm giving you guys is translated by my nieces because they are also into the deen like me. My family's like this. My brother Isa speaks Fusha. Okay? He can also speak Egyptian slang. And he can also speak a little of Palestinian slang. But he speaks Fusha too because he went to school to learn it. My brother learned the Fusha when he was in Saudi Arabia. He took that as a class. But do they speak it normally? No. They're going to speak whatever slang they speak just like we do. We speak American English. We don't speak the Queen's English. And some of us speak hip-hop. We even have different dialects here in America. You have the Southern drawl, the Southern dialect. You have the West Coast, California. We got the West Coast dialect. We got the East Coast dialect. There's different dialects of English. Well, Arabic is the same way. But in order to be a scholar of the Quran, you have to know the original Arabic. The Fusha, the vocabulary, the grammar. A lot of people ask me, they say, Sister Laila, you don't speak Arabic, but how do you understand those hadiths? Because my teacher, Sheikh Morsi is a scholar of the Arabic language, and he also knows English. So he's the one that gave me the meaning in my language so that I can in turn teach you guys. He gave it to me in English, and I'm giving it to you in grassroots, broke down hip hop if I have to. I can do hip hop, my shizzle. Okay? All right. So again, guys, you don't be surprised if a lot of you sisters are married to Arabic men and they read the Quran and you notice that your husbands are reading the English. And then you ask them to give you the meaning of a word and they tell you, oh, I don't know how to say it in English. That's not true. They don't know what the word means because they don't speak the Fusha. You'd be surprised how many Arabs read the Quran in English because they don't use Fusha. Okay? So this is the first category of verses. You know, you have to have command of the true original Arabic language and vocabulary and grammar. Did you guys watch last week the lecture that Dr. Jamali gave? Those shorts are going viral. Remember when he did the tafsir of Surah Baqarah? Which one of the shorts got almost 1,000 hits? The one where he says, the verse where Allah says in the interpretation of meaning that it's lawful to marry a Christian woman. Did y'all see how Dr. Jamali broke that down? He said, no, read this. It said that the woman has to believe in one God. She cannot say that she believes Jesus is the Son of God. A lot of Arabs read that verse of the Quran and they don't understand that. Because some Arabic words, and we're going to get to that, some Arabic words can have double meaning, more than one meaning. And that's the one that's going viral. A lot of these brothers, a lot of you men who have married Christian women, your marriages are not valid because one of the conditions is she cannot say that Jesus is the Son of Allah. She has to believe that Allah is one, without partner. So a lot of you brothers are not married legally. There's other conditions too. Her heart must be inclined. Her heart, as Ibn Abbas said, her heart must be inclined to Islam. You can't just go marry any woman off the street because she says she's a Christian. No, she has to believe in one God. And she must be on the verge of converting. So a lot of you are fornicators. Y'all see that? That short is going viral. But that's the difference in somebody who is Mufassir. Jamali is Mufassir. Sheikh Saud would tell you the same thing. Dr. Asim would tell you the same thing. They're Mufassir. Okay? Let me give you an example. We have the authentic hadith of Ibn Malik. May Allah be pleased with him. He tells us that Umar was one day sitting with the companions and he was reciting the Surah Abasa. And when he got to the verse where Allah says, in the interpretation of the meaning, fruits and abba. Fruits and abba. Umar said, what is this word abba? We know what the word fruit is. He said, but what is el abba? He said, what is abba? What is abba? He didn't know the meaning of that word. This is an Arabic word. This is an unknown Arabic word. And when Umar said that, Ibn Malik said, Astaghfirullah, Umar. What's wrong with you? Remember what the Prophet said. The Prophet said, this is something that we shouldn't even ask about. For those words that we don't understand the meaning of, that Allah uses, don't even ask about it because it's not important. All you need to know is fruits. Don't worry about Abba. Don't worry about Abba. That's the way you pronounce it. Abba. Okay? So, this statement is crucial because it shows that the person who is interpreting the meaning of the Quran must evaluate which words or which verses have a meaning that is within their academic capacity to understand. And this is essential because, again, Arabics people today have different dialects, just like the English people do. And the Arabs find it very, very hard to read the Quran with understanding. Did y'all know that? How many of you thought that just because you speak Arabic, you're going to learn how to read this Quran? That's why I stop people. When you hear people say, oh, my sister, oh, my sister, you need to go learn Arabic. Because until you learn Arabic, you will only understand 30% of the Quran. Are you kidding? Who said that? You speak Arabic and you don't even understand 10% of it. Because if you understood 10% of the Quran, you wouldn't go around making up lies against the law. You would know that's a grievous sin. Where does Allah say I got to go learn Arabic to understand the Quran? Are you crazy? The prophets were the best of all mankind, and they all didn't speak Arabic. So you mean to tell me that they weren't the best? That take that superiority tribalism on somewhere. That's a person that doesn't know 10%, and he speaks Arabic. So how many of you thought that you can learn all the Arabic in the world, but still you are not going to be able to break that Quran down unless you, number one, have control of the Arabic language, the Fusha, and number two, you have to know the hadiths. The hadiths are the history of Islam. So you will be lopsided. You will have a language under your belt, but no command of that Quran. You got to learn them hadiths, people. You can't get past the hadiths. And most of us are too old to learn them because you got to start when you're a child memorizing all that stuff. Okay? So there are some words in the Quran like Abba, Abba, that even the companions didn't understand the meaning of. But those words like that are not important. Like the prophet said, don't ask about that. That's not important. Just know what fruits are. Does everyone understand that? For example, Alif, Lam, Mim. When you come to those verses of the Quran, Alif, Lam, Mim, Nun. Nobody knows what those letters are. Don't nobody know what that means. Nobody knows what that means. But what did the prophet say? Don't worry about what it means. Read what comes after it. Understand what Allah wants you to understand here. Don't put a burden on yourself. So this is a very important point. Also, not only must you have command of the Arabic language, but you have to have the ability to identify vocabulary upon a scale of intelligibility. What does that mean? Walk away from the unknown words. As Anas said, you know, we were forbidden to concern ourselves with those things that are of no benefit. So if I don't know what Alif, Lam, Mim, Nun, I don't know what that means, just walk away from it. So the person who is Mufassir, he has to learn and know to overlook some information in regards to the Quran and instead favor other information. And you have to have wisdom to do that. Remember, here's the hadith, and I want everybody to take a screenshot of this. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah has enjoined some obligatory duties upon us, so do not neglect them. Allah has also set limitations, so do not transgress them. And there are some things that Allah has forbidden, so do not violate those prohibitions. And there are other things, this is the part, there are other things that Allah has remained quiet about out of mercy towards you, not out of forgetfulness. So don't concern yourself with them. And this is an example. You don't know what Abba. We don't know what Abba means. None of us knows what Abba means. Don't concern yourself with it. Instead, focus on the fruit. You don't know what Aleph, Lam, Mim, Nun. You don't know what that means. So don't focus on it. Just focus on the rest of it. Okay, that's the hadith. All right. The second type, or the second category, that the person, in order to be a scholar of the Quran who can interpret it correctly to you, must know is, he must know to include verses which everyone must understand because they have one meaning. Because these are the pillars of Islam. These are the commands. These are the lawful and the unlawful. This is the punishment code in Islam. So the meanings of that stuff must be known. You have to know what the pillars of Islam are. You have to know the lawful and the unlawful. How can you be a scholar of the Quran and you don't know what's lawful and what isn't? Like that woman, how can she call herself a scholar and she don't even know that khimar refers to the headdress for the woman? Okay? You have to know the punishments. Which sins bring capital punishment in Islam? You have to know that stuff. Everyone must know that. Failure to engage in all of this means you can lead to innovation. You may be teaching innovation. This is going to open the door to disbelief or innovation. So, in order to clarify, in order to give the meaning of a word or a verse in the Quran, you have to have the correct aqidah. You have to know the pillars of Islam, the articles of faith. Wala wal bara. Most people don't know wala wal bara. Most Muslims today do not know what allegiance and disassociation. That's why you got Muslims voting in elections. They don't know al-bara. We're supposed to disassociate. They don't understand that Allah is clear. Allah is clear when he says in the Quran, they will never accept you. The non-believers will never have your best interests at heart. So how can you be a scholar of the Quran when you don't even accept that verse? You have to know these things, the lawful, the unlawful, wala wal bara. If you don't know this stuff, which is the basics, you can forget it. How can you interpret anything to anyone? Also, guys, the third category, and you guys have heard me speak about this a lot with you guys. There are some verses and some words in the Quran that have different meanings. Arabic is a language, not a religion. I told you guys there are over 300 ways that I can say lion in Arabic. I was looking on Twitter yesterday. One of the brothers in the United Kingdom on Twitter has sent me a message, and he asked me if I could answer a question for this person about the hadith about selling cats. The hadith is authentic, whereas the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said it is forbidden to buy or sell a cat. But I learned from Sheikh Morsi, that's how I can answer it, because Sheikh Morsi answered it here. I told the brother in the United Kingdom, he's famous, y'all know him, he's always in trouble because he doesn't know how to shut up. And I told him, I said, brother, you need to stop speaking about this religion when you ain't qualified. I said, you have to go learn Fusha. In English, that hadith is translated to say cat. But if you read that hadith in the Fusha, it means a wild cat, like a lion or a tiger or a panther. That word has more than one meaning. Unless you are a scholar of the Arabic language, you're going to think that the Prophet was talking about a house cat. He's not talking about a house cat in that hadith. He's speaking about a lion. It's haram for us to buy a lion. It's haram for us to sell a lion. Why? Because the Prophet said these are animals that are not pets. A lion was not meant to be a pet. A tiger is not meant to be a pet. Those cats live in the wild. The brother said, I didn't know that, Sister Laila. I say, yeah, it's a lot you don't know. That's why you being all over the internet, they're attacking you. I told you, you need to stop talking and go learn this religion. Go get a life. Okay? So, ambiguous verses. Only the well-grounded scholars can explain, just like Sheikh Morsi did, that hadith about cats. You can buy a cat and you can sell a cat, but you cannot buy a wild cat or sell a wild cat. Okay? So the true scholar has to be able to do that. And that's all based again on knowing the Arabic language, how one word can take on more than one meaning. So when Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, was reading Abasa, and he got to the verse about and fruits and abba. He didn't know what abba meant. So he called upon Ibn Abbas. May Allah be pleased with him. Umar would always call upon Ibn Abbas when there was a verse of the Quran that he couldn't understand the meaning of, because he knew that the Prophet made dua, and Allah gifted Ibn Abbas with the ability to explain, interpret, and clarify. So Ibn Abbas identified the word abba to mean forageable grass. He said, oh, Umar, Allah is speaking about grass here, fruit and grass. Okay? He said, Allah is saying in the interpretation of the meaning that it is He who has sent down to you, Muhammad, the book, the Quran. Okay? So, Abba, based on Ibn Abbas's understanding, is grass, forageable grass, which is not that important. And when Ibn Abbas explained that to Umar, Umar said, well, Ibn Malik was right. It ain't important. The grass ain't got nothing to do with the other meaning anyway. It's not important to know what it meant anyway. Okay? So that's the third type, or the third category. Some of the words, some of the verses may be ambiguous, meaning having more than one meaning, or they are not clearly defined. And that's why I tell you something. I tell you guys, if something in a religion is not clearly defined to us, we're supposed to look to see what the companions had to say, not the 4 imams. The Prophet Muhammad didn't make dua for no 4 imams. He didn't even know them. He made dua for Ibn Abbas. He made dua for Ibn Umar. He may do it for Ibn Masud. He may do it for Abu Bakr, for Umar, for Aisha, for Abu Huraira, Sa'id al-Khudri, and many, many more. So we look to see what their understanding is. So that's why, like I gave y'all the example last week, this heated debate about masturbation. Who said it's haram? Only Allah has the authority. Allah didn't say it's haram. He remained silent on it. He told us what's haram. The only thing haram is anal and menses. That's it. And of course, y'all know fornication and adultery. So I don't care what the four imams had to say about masturbation, but I can tell you what Ibn Abbas said. Ibn Abbas said there's nothing wrong with it. He said the companions used to go out in battles. Many of the young men masturbated. The Prophet never said anything about that. He said if it were haram, the Prophet would have mentioned it. Ibn Umar said the same thing. It's nothing but releasing your own water. Aisha, radiallahu anha, she said, who said it's haram? It's nothing. How can you call masturbation zina? She said, you're just touching yourself and you're releasing your own water, which is going to release naturally too. She said, if it releases naturally, is that zina too? So that's why I tell you guys, my answer is not the same as these brothers who deal with the madhabs. My answers is going to be Maqasidic. My answers are going to be based on the understanding of these companions. Okay? Because some things Allah may remain quiet about. Some things have different meanings, have more than one meaning. So how did the companions understand it to mean? Okay? And that brings us to the last category of verses. This is the category of verses where the verses contain knowledge, like I said earlier, that only Allah knows. Like Alif, Lam, Mim. Only Allah knows what that is. Also, the signs of the last hour. Only Allah knows when the last hour will come. The Antichrist. Only Allah knows when that will come. The war against Islam. Only Allah knows. So the Mufassir has to know the verses in which only Allah knows the answer to about the soul. There's only so much that we can tell you about the soul of man. Allah has only shared a little knowledge with us as to the soul of man. The rest, the knowledge lies only with Allah. So these are the four category of verses. In order to be Mufassir, Maqasidic, in order to be a Maqasidic Mufassir, what do I mean by that in English? In order to be a person who can interpret, explain, and clarify the Quran with the highest and best understanding, which is the understanding that those companions had, they have to have the ability to do these four things here with the verses. They have to be able to recognize all four different categories of verses. Maqasidic, the Arabic word meaning the highest, the best, the most correct understanding. You will only reach the most correct understanding of the Quran if you apply the understanding that Ibn Abbas had, not Imam Hanafi. Y'all get it? Not Ibn Taymiyyah. And by the way, Ibn Taymiyyah and Imam Hanafi and them, they used the understanding of the companions too. May Allah bless them all and forgive them all of their sins. Ameen. Those men fought and died to try to keep the understanding of the companions, alive. All right. So let's see how well you guys understood this. Here's your quiz. Wake up. Question number 1. Categorization of the verses of the Quran is a science based on knowledge of what 3 things? Come on, guys, get the answer. Categorization of the verses of the Quran is a science based on knowledge of what 3 things? What 3 things?
You have to
go ahead.
You have to know the hadith. You have to have knowledge of the hadith, and also you have to have the correct belief system. And you have to know the Arabic language, the original one, which the companions spoke.
MashaAllah, there your answer is. Good job. And for Amira, she wrote, I see your answer here. Good job. Right. In order to categorize the verses of the Quran, you have to have, number 1, knowledge of the Arabic language. Number 2, knowledge of the hadith. And number 3, the correct belief system. If you guys don't have those 3 things, you can forget it. And most of these brothers and sisters who interpret the Quran to you, they don't have them at all. They don't even have the Arabic language. Okay. Next question. Who was responsible for placing the verses in the 4 categories used today? Was it Imam Hanifa? Was it Ibn Taymiyyah? Was it Ibn Umar? Was it Ibn Abbas? Come on, people, this is easy. Why is Yasmin the only one answering?
Ibn Abbas.
MashaAllah, the correct answer is Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas. Good job. Next question. If anyone learns to speak Arabic, you will understand the verses of the Quran. Is that statement true or false? Good job, Miss Jackson.
False. False.
MashaAllah. Good job, Anissa. It's false. You can learn Arabic all you want to. That ain't going to give you no understanding of the Quran. It goes a lot more deeper than that. You better learn them hadiths. If you don't learn them hadiths, you're lost, people. That's why the nation today is lost. Boy, I listen to these people answer questions, and I just shake my head. Good job, Sakina. I see we're lagged on YouTube, but I see your answers. Good job, Sakina. False. Good job, Miss Jackson. She said false because you also need to know the hadith and the correct belief. Good job, Miss Jackson. Okay, next question. There are some words in the Quran that even the companions did not know the meaning of. Is that statement true or false? There are some words in the Quran that even the companions didn't know the meaning of.
That is true.
True.
MashaAllah. Good job. That's true. Let me see what they type in here. Oh, good job, Amira. Good job, Sarah. Good job, Daddy. Their father. Good job, Sakina. Their father says, Sister Layla, you broke this down so well. Oh, thank you. Okay. Exactly. Miss Jackson said it's true. The fact that Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, had to ask Ibn Abbas the meaning shows that that it's true. Good job, ASCII. Good job. Okay, next question. For the verses in the Quran or wording that is not understandable, what does the Prophet Muhammad tell us to do? What did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam say for us to do if we come upon a verse or a word of the Quran that's not clear, that we don't understand? Do we think that Allah forgot something or what? What did the Prophet tell us to do?
Don't worry about it. Don't even think about it. Let it go.
Good job. Go ahead, sister. Go ahead. Yeah, no.
And also ask the people of knowledge.
Yes, and you can do that too. Good job, Precious. You know, there's 2 things to do. First of all, ask the people of knowledge. If the people of knowledge can't answer it, just like Umar did with Ibn Malik. Ibn Malik couldn't answer it. Okay, let it go. But then when Ibn Abbas heard about it, he gave him the answer. But mashallah, let it go. Don't be concerned with it. Good job, Aski. Good job, Miss Jackson. Good job. Good job, Sakina. Good job, Fatima. Don't worry about it. If it's something that I can't give you the answer to, Dr. Jamali can't give you the answer to, Sheikh Morsi can't give you the answer to, just let it go. It ain't important. Focus on the rest of it that is important. Don't ask why come Allah didn't tell us when the last hour will come. Don't ask how many hands, how many fingers does Allah have on his hands. Don't ask what kind of eyes Allah has. That stuff is not important. Good job. What about this? Some verses of the Quran have more than one meaning. Is that statement true or false? Some verses of the Quran have more than one meaning.
True.
MashaAllah, good job. That's true. That's true. Some words have more than one meaning and some verses do too. But you don't want to add to it. You better go get the understanding that those companions had about it. Like that verse about stomping your feet. Allah says, oh, you women who believe, do not stomp your feet to bring attention to yourself. Some people read that verse and says that it means that you can't wear high heel shoes because high heel shoes make a loud sound. Is that correct? How do you know? You look to see how the companions understood that. And Ibn Abbas, Ibn Umar, Aisha, Salama, they all explained that verse. They said that that verse was sent down when Allah sent the rights of women down after Badr. The women used to put bracelets on their ankles before Islam. And to get attention, they would go to the marketplace and stomp their feet. These women were prostitutes. They would stomp their feet to make the ankle bracelets jingle so they could pick up a man. So that has nothing to do. That verse of the Quran has nothing to do with high heel shoes. Nothing to do with shoes at all. It's talking about prostitution. For us women making a public spectacle of ourselves, trying to bring unnecessary attention to ourselves. Now, if I put on a pair of high heel shoes and I go to the mosque and stomp my feet to get the men to look at me, can that verse apply in that situation? What do y'all think? If I went to the masjid and I had on high heel shoes and I stomped my feet just to get all the brothers to look at me, would that verse apply in that situation?
Yes, it would.
Yes, it would. That's Maqasidic. Now y'all get it. Maqasidic understanding is the understanding those companions had. I don't have ankle bracelets on, but I'm deliberately, intentionally standing in the hallway, stomping my feet just so the brothers can come running to look at me. That's nothing but a prostitute. Maqasidic tafsir. But in order to give you that explanation, how did I come to that explanation? I gave y'all the hadith, didn't I? I gave you the hadith. And I gave you the understanding that those companions had of it. That's Maqasidic. I can give you a Maqasidic tafsir. Okay? Again, you have to know the hadith. You have to have the correct belief and know the Arabic language. Okay? Last question. When we come upon a verse in the Quran that has more than one meaning, the Maqasidic Mufassir, bases the meaning on what or whom? If it's got more than one meaning, the scholar, the Maqasidic interpreter of the Quran, is going to base the meaning on who or whom or what? They're going to give you the meaning based on who. Whose understanding?
The companions?
Exactly, the companions. The companions. Any of the companions. The originals. If he's a real down scholar, he's going to give you the original companions. He's not going to tell you what Al-Hasan al-Basri said. That's the Tabi'een. He's going to tell you what Ibn Abbas said, what Umar said, what Abu Bakr said. He's going to take it right to the originals. That's Maqasidic. That's a Maqasidic Mufassir. Y'all understand that? Okay, so mashallah, that was today's, oh, I'm sorry, wrong camera. That was today's class. I hope I broke that down.